Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Hey, we're coming here with another great podcast, and I have an exciting guest who's a multi-book author here that we're going to share with you in a second. But first, welcome to the show. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button so you can subscribe to all the wonderful updates. Be sure to go to patreon.com/Chris Voss so you can support the show and podcast and get in to win all sorts of free gear. Thanks to AT&T.com for sharing all the wonderful phones that we review on the show. We'll be podcasting this with Periscope. You can log in there and see the Samsung Galaxy 8 Plus taking in broadcasting. So thanks for that. So we're going to bring in a guest and let me give you a rundown on her. Her name is Sheevaun Moran. She's a success coach with over 15 years that she's built a massive portfolio of successful clients that continues to grow year after year. She went from a young girl in a small town to the ranks of board of directors at a pharmaceutical company to an innovator and entrepreneur expert who's featured in the Wall Street Journal, Fox Business, Fortune Magazine, and many others. She's been dubbed the Queen of Energy. There's something. And by Jack Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, when she spoke one time at his Maui event. Welcome to the show, Sheevaun. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks for being on the show. And you're the author of a couple different books. I've gotten to know you a little bit as a success coach and what you do in that factor. Tell us about your latest book and what you have going on.
So my latest book is coming out, I think in the next couple months, and it's called The New Internet. And it's taking all of those, the conscious capitalism concept and the subtleties of quantum energetics and business practices and blending them all together as a science and as a template, as a system, so that what occurs is when you follow the items in this particular book and the understandings of some of the great leaders and how they innately use these tools, we reveal that and lay that out for everyone in a way that's super clear and simple, and it's not so out there. It really takes all of those out there concepts and brings them and concretizes them into the business world, the coaching world, the high achiever, the people who want to achieve something next world.
So what is quantum energetics, did you say? Quantum?
Yeah.
So explain to me what that is. I went to public school, so I think
So did I. I had to learn all this stuff the hard way. I learned this through realizing that there are subtleties to each of us that, some people call them, intuitive hits or a gut reaction, or, in alternative medicine, they call it chi and those kind of things. But when you look at science and you look at science from, the past 200 years, there are inklings of this information out there, and they've used the term quantum physics and quantum energetics to express it in the science world. But in the physical world, it's kind of like this. So right now we're speaking on my Wi-Fi cell phone, right? And so we have invisible connections to each other that are making communications happen. And we've always had these, and the device that we had before was our human self. And not everybody was really good at it or listening to it. And there's actually there's a set of techniques to tap into that, that, again, if you go back to the science of it, the science states that 98% of our world, like all this other stuff, all this air and stuff, is unseen. But we're using a very small fraction of our brain, and we're using a very small fraction of our seen world in order to achieve results. And so the quantum energetics and the book that's coming out is designed to take all of those business mind left brain things and all of the right brain things and blend them together so that it makes a great deal of sense and there's an actionable item.
Cool. So you show people how to utilize and manage these tools and engage them to put them into their daily use.
Yeah, absolutely. And generally they stay in the right side woo-woo out there kind of camp. But I bring all of that left brain, science-y, tangible kind of things into the conversation. And I make it really simple. It's almost as if my clients are like, oh, yeah, I've been thinking like that all along. And so I tap into the language set of society, really, and teach people how they're already saying and using these things. Now there's an actual technology to apply as a system and practice in order to accelerate results.
Nice. That's pretty freaking awesome. Do you have a name for the book yet, or is that still under being worked on?
No, it's in its final edits, and I'm pretty excited about it. It has taken a long time to really put it all together so that it makes really, like you said, I went to public school. Okay, many of us did, and it takes those things that are like all of the sciencey out there head things and brings them down to a level of, oh, this relates to me. I can apply this to my accounting. I can apply this to my team. I can apply this to my partner in business or my partner in life. And so it's really tangible, simplified, not dumbed down, but simplified in a way that it's accessible to anyone. And that's my mission and journey, is to make these things that are kind of out there super accessible and in a recipe that can be applied again and again. So yeah, it's coming. It's coming along pretty.
Now you have another book that people can probably get a hold of now. What is that one?
Yeah, that one's called 5 Essential Energies for Immediate Success. And the reason I titled it that way is because of this unseen stuff. But there are many pieces of us that we don't identify with, or even don't know how to take care of ourselves if we're overgiving, oversharing. Maybe we don't know how to really tap into the true essence of heart of a sales conversation. And every conversation effectively out there in the world is a sales conversation, really. And it's really something that needs to be engaging. So our energy, like if our Wi-Fi signal is weird, think of it like that. It's our energy signal in our body out there sharing with the world is weird. So I take these and give five areas of life: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relational. Oops, leave out spiritual, financial, relational. And I dive into what may be happening in your body and maybe happening in your world. And here are 3 tools that you can use immediately. And those came about through my own frustration, chaotic head, getting sick from stress, those kind of things, and developing these tools and skills.
Yeah, definitely. There's a definite mind and body balance. I mean, I discovered a lot of that. I mean, I knew it always had an effect on me, but, learning that food consumption or different types of food that I was consuming would have a difference on my energy, which have a difference on my performance in business, my interactions with people, and my energy levels. Certainly having more energy can definitely help if you're tired, depressed. It can come through in your communications and, of course, how you apply yourself to your businesses. So it makes a huge difference. Sometimes what you're putting in your body, how you're using your body, sleep patterns, how much coffee you've had. Mine always seems to be circulation around coffee. So there.
I got the tea thing going on. I like tea.
Yeah, tea's very good. I love tea too. I love the Yorba mate, I think it is.
Yeah, yerba mate. I just learned a really cool thing. If we can go off on a tangent, I just learned a really cool thing about what they're doing for the reforestation in the areas that they harvest these leaves. Because apparently the area that they harvest these leaves has been clear cut. And so they've been replanting trees so they can actually go. So it's a really wonderful cycle
Nice.
of input, output, input, output. And that's, that's the science of the 5 Essential Energies book.
Wow. That's that's important that we do that. I've been watching some of the events in Napa, and I'm really fearful about some of the scorched earth that's there, and of course the ruinous to people's lives and homes, but also the vineyards. I wonder how many vineyards have been burned to the ground, and they'll have to rebuild all that stuff. But yeah, we have to keep reinvesting in the earth when it gives us stuff. That's a real important factor. So what are some of the things that you do with your clients to really help them? What are some of the biggest challenges that you see that you usually advise or counsel people on?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is when you get excited about an idea, you actually tend to burn out your enthusiasm, which is energy. And then you end up burning out your body, and then you end up burning out your mind. So it's really an energy and then a body and then mind thing. So it's a little different than what most other people share. And so when you look at people who practiced ancient sciences for a lot of years in these kind of energetic things, they have a wonderful amount of energy that seems to never exhaust. Well, there's a technique for that. So that when you need to focus and you need to get something done, a project, a new program, a new tribe meeting or an event or something like that, you're not giving away all of your energy. You're able to make it a give, an inflow and an outflow, a give and a take, so that everybody wins. So it's a win-win-win. So I take somebody who is, when you're burned out energetically, bodily, and mentally, your business, has a challenge, or your team will have a challenge. So I take people and get them out of the chaotic mind, and we clean up the chaotic, fearful, worry-based mind. You look at news and you're going to be in worry mode. You look at, you follow politics, and, the world is ending. And it really traps us into a circular way of thinking and keeps us from our highest and most optimal potential.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the news today in politics, you do sometimes wonder if the world's ending, that's for sure. And it does have an effect, and it eats into your brain space of what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on for your business. I imagine you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and stuff.
Yeah, I do. I love entrepreneurs because they're willing to take themselves out of the problem and learn how to be the solution and create a solution for the greater good, which then in turn returns back to them. And, the most challenge that the entrepreneurs have, particularly when they're starting out, is they have this beautiful idea and they want to get it out there to the world. And the price, not just the financial price, the physical, the mental, and the energetic price are huge. And because I've gone through this and I've helped a bunch of companies, move from startup to much larger, then there is an ebb and a flow and an energetic pattern. I call it an upward trending energetic pattern that I teach all of my entrepreneurs how to use, so that it builds and builds and builds on itself, rather than like this. Most entrepreneurs do the high highs and the low lows, and that's exhausting.
Yeah, it's we've talked about this before on the show with entrepreneurism and some of the pitfalls, some of the issues, the ups and downs and highs and lows, and certainly having a way to re-gear your brain to deal with some of the things you do, because there's a lot of pressure, not only from external but internal worry. Sometimes you have to build something out of thin air based upon your idea that hopefully solves people's problems enough so that they will give you their money, so that you can keep solving their problems and get more money and pay your mortgage bill. So that's always an important factor, I think, at the very smallest level or starting level. But you never know if your idea is going to work, if it's going to be accepted by people. And a lot of times you have to build it before they'll come by. So you're kind of making that leap of faith, and you're going to live with a lot of worry. You're going to live with a lot of stress. What if I invest all this stuff in and no one likes it? I've built companies like that where the initial model was a complete failure. And we wouldn't know until we tested it. And then once we tested it, the consumers went, yeah, that's not what we're not doing that. And so you had to rebuild it to, what they liked, and hopefully survive those changes and those investments. So yeah, it's a definite thing. And of course you're investing your own time and money, which usually there's a finite amount of that to some degree. And so the pressure is to somehow turn that finite amount of cash that you have into a income and producing source that helps other people, and of course you get paid from it. So there's a lot of building it and hoping that they show up. The old line from, what was it, Field of Gold or Field of Dreams?
Yeah, right.
You build it, they will come. They don't always come if you build it. That's what, unfortunately, the pitfalls of being an entrepreneur. And 99% of most businesses fail in the first 2 years. So you're finding an incredible odds, if you will.
Yeah, it's really, we tend to think that more of our own mechanisms of power and will are the solutions. And it's actually a dance between power and will and the subtle allowing. Because generally with energy, we've lived in a patterning from being in corporate, or patterning from family or friends or community, whatever. That is what I call the unts, N''T's, meaning, no, you can't do that. That's too hard. The shouldn'ts, well, I wouldn't do that if I were you. The shouldn'ts, oh, you shouldn't spend that. You should save it. So I call them the unts. And entrepreneurs are facing a lot of steps and rocks and hurdles of the unts. And so we create tools to help people and the entrepreneurs to leap those, a couple, 2 at a time, 3 at a time, 4 at a time, 5 at a time. So it gets easier and easier and easier. And it's muscle building, because it's a different muscle being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean,
too. Yeah.
Yeah. When you know that you are your paycheck, and then unless you make your paycheck, you're not getting a paycheck. That's a whole different thing than when you can sit at your work and go, I can coast this week and I'll still get that check at the end on Friday. Not when you're an entrepreneur now.
Yeah, and that eats at the psyche. But more importantly, there's not a great deal of, even though there are more entrepreneurs than ever. I've been doing this a while, so there are a lot more entrepreneurs than ever. But there's not a great deal of support and consistent upward trending support for entrepreneurs to say, you know what, that's an awesome idea. Let's tweak this. Let's make sure that your energy and your head are in the right place. Let's make sure your energy, your head, and your marketing match. Because there have been times when the person's energy and head match, but they hired somebody to do marketing, and it's like, whoa, that is a massive disconnect from who you are as a human. No wonder they can't hear you through that marketing mechanism. And so it has to all come together into an alignment.
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. And you have to build a congruent environment and ecosystem throughout your company, so that, everybody follows the same missions and kind of has the same sort of standards that they're looking for. So they can get your book on Amazon, I'm thinking.
You can get the book on Amazon, 5 Essential Energies for Immediate Success. You can get that on Amazon, and then you're actually going to find 6 others there. So,
Oh, you got 6 other books?
What's that?
You got 6 other books?
Yes, I am.
Holy crap. Sorry, I made the assumption you had 2, so 6 other books. Wow. That's awesome. So you want to tell us about some of the other books and give them some plugs?
Yeah. I get a little frustrated and knowing that I have at least a piece of the answer to the solution. So I'm like, let's write a book about it. So one of them is called "Rewrite Your Autobiography of Money," and the reason it's titled that is because we have a history and a long history in our family of different stories around money that we're actually walking around with. So I wrote this workbook that unwinds that. It's a really amazing workbook. The other one is 12 Energetic Solutions for Personal Power. And that's a pretty cool one because it goes deeper into the energetics piece and our own personal power that we may be giving away and we don't even know it. Another one is, this one's on the very woo out there side, and it's called Dancing with the Divine. Right? And then I'm going to tell this one to your audience. I don't know if they're mainly men or women, but I'm going to tell this one to your audience because it's something that I have found with most drivers and entrepreneurs that every single one of them has a challenge with. And it's not something that would be very spoken about out there in public in a big, big way, but it actually affects all of our interactions in business. And it takes energy, and Napoleon Hill even wrote about it in Think and Grow Rich, and it's called The Secret Energy of Sex, how to have it and not have it. Right? Because, it is an energy. And so, I mean, I really go in all of these different spaces and talk about all of the different things that impact our world as we dive into success, or looking for success, or striving for success. So yeah, it's the gamut.
I remember Napoleon Hill writing about that in the book. And I remember I was like 18 or something when I read it. And I was like, that's okay. That's interesting. And definitely sex is a popular thing I hear. And,
yeah, that's what I heard. Helps the planet, kind of populate.
Are they popular in Utah? I can tell by the child count where I used to live. But so you've written a lot of books. That's a total of 7 or 8 then total with the new one coming out?
I think after this new one that's coming out, it will be 7.
Holy crap. That's a lot of darn writing.
I feel like I have a lot more to say.
There you go. Well, it sounds like you've written a lot of great things and you've built a great company with some of the experiences and stuff. What's a good way for people to look you up online, contact you, all that sort of good stuff? Where can they find you on the interwebs?
Other than using your intuition, you can go to SheevaunMoran.com, SheevaunMoran.com, and we've got some cool stuff on there. And let's see, if you were to want more information, I'd say send us an email at author, AUTHOR, at SheevaunMoran.com, and we'll be able to get you started in the right direction.
Yeah, and I know you have a lot of programs online. I think you have, I know there was an email list or something that we worked on for you, or promotion of some sort of video or download, I think, that people can get.
Yeah, I know we have this awesome download. And if you haven't seen the email from Chris, go to your spam, check it out, and get that download. It's important.
Open your LinkedIn email. In fact, we'll have those links on the Chris Voss Show podcast page on the blog, and then you'll also be able to find them on YouTube as well. If you're watching on iTunes, Google Play, or TuneIn, or listening, I should say, you wouldn't be watching, but listening, you can go to the links on the chrisvossshow.com and find those, or go to the appropriate YouTube page and all that good stuff. So anything else we should know you want to share with us? Any last minute thoughts?
What I'd say is, there's a lot of turmoil in the world. And one of the greatest things that we forget in the midst of this turmoil is so ridiculously simple. And I'd say if you can focus on taking a breath before you have a comment or a conversation, it's just like, because there's a lot of stress out there. We've got fires and hurricanes and
shooting people and
My gosh, like, right? I mean, so many things that are like really trying to get our attention and take us away from our true zone of genius. And one of the most simple things is to just put your hand on your heart and take a breath so you can be more kind to yourself, but even be more kind to others. And that energy is a drop in the pond, and it all makes a massive amount of difference. So, be that one awesome, energetic, drop. So we can like maybe get this to stop or slow down a bit.
Do you usually recommend that people maybe don't watch the news or avoid the news as much as they can and basically not go on Facebook?
So here's something really funny. After I had gotten sick and misdiagnosed and nearly died, that was kind of part of my journey. And I didn't watch the news for about 12 years. I didn't listen to radio. I didn't listen to music. And then we went and had a big event. And the really fascinating thing is, I was like, oh my God, events are driven by music. I have to find out what music there is out there. I don't listen to anything except silence. And so I started listening to music in a little bit, and then I started listening to NPR, and then I started watching the news. And actually recently, and it's only been like 2 years, or maybe 2 or 3 years, I guess. And the other day I was like, you know what? I think I need to back off and really shut all of these things down and be mindful and be aware of my energy so that I can deliver the best for the people who've taken steps with me. And so really, I've actually taken space away from LinkedIn and from Facebook, and from every once in a while I'll do an Instagram. And maybe you can hear the echo. We're actually in a new building for one of my companies, and we're in the process of doing some cool stuff to it.
Cool.
And the fascinating thing is, yesterday a guy came to rent one of the units in the building, and he came back about 3 hours later. And he says, I looked you up. I learned everything about you. I have a problem. I have a problem because you haven't done a video in 2 months. I need to. I mean, I was like, yeah, I see your point. And I've been a little busy helping my clients and but he has a point. But it's really challenging. We want to really temper, I think is the word, temper what we ingest and how long we ingest it. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah. It's definitely hard, especially these days. Especially these last couple months with the hurricanes and people suffering, and I'm a real big person where I don't like to see people suffer, and I empathize, and I get sucked into a lot of different tragedies that go on in the world, and trying to comment about them or shine a light on them. And so, yeah, it's hard, and it definitely takes away some of your energy, takes away some of the work that you probably should be spending on your own things. And a lot of times it's probably non-productive, because sadly those things are going to happen. Otherwise, I know that's a poor dismissal to take and make. But yeah, it can have an effect on you if you're struggling, especially. It's probably not a good place for you to go with. The nice thing is Instagram seems to be a lot more cleaner when it comes to political posts and some of the noise. I've got my Instagram down to where it's just kind of my close friends and people that post stuff that I like. I even stay away from, this is just a personal thing, but I stay away from people that always post these memes and all these feel-good memes that I've seen 5,000 times over. And so I just try and stick with people that post kind of pictures that are very personal about their lives. And Instagram does seem to be very popular now, and I think it's because it's a safe space from all the craziness.
Yeah. It's really just temper. And if in those, in some of the books out there, like 5 Essential Energies, and in the books that I've got, there are tools in there of how to disconnect from that to get your sanity back. Because really, it can be consuming, energetically consuming, mentally consuming.
Totally.
And you said something super important, that if you're struggling, that's the time to really double down on your stuff and not really watch anything else.
Yeah, most definitely. Put your nose to the grindstone. In fact, I've been missing a lot of this Harvey Weinstein stuff recently because I've been just trying to focus on my business. and get out of the craziness of this stuff. And I popped my head up, and people are like, "You're just catching up to this now?" And I'm like, I don't know that I want to catch up to whatever that is, because it just looks awful. Maybe I'll just go back to my business and focus on that for now. Yeah, and then the arguments and the trolling and the different comments and things that you can get on social media and get caught up on just can become incredible time wasters. So, Sheevaun, we love that you spent some time with us today. Everyone go check out our books. I'm sure the whole library's there on amzn.to.
Yep.
Great.
Totally.
And then her latest book, let's give that a last plug, Sheevaun. What was the name of the latest book that hasn't quite, or that you haven't, the second one, I should say.
Mention it. So it's called The New Internet.
The New Internet. That's the title of the new book. And then her other book is Five Essential
Energies for Immediate Success.
Yep. Anybody who says I don't listen, you're wrong. So, Sheevaun, it was wonderful to have you on the show. Everyone check her out. There'll be a link to her website on the chrisvossshow.com and on the youtube.com/Chris Voss channel. Those of you on iTunes, Google Play, and tune in. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to look for her links there, or hopefully you wrote those down as we were going by. Hopefully you weren't driving in the car. So there's that. And thanks for coming by. Thanks to our audience. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit that bell notification button. Thanks to AT&T for the Samsung Galaxy S8s that we record for going to Periscope and Facebook Live. And also go to patreon.com/Chris Voss. Thanks for coming by today, Sheevaun. It was a pleasure to meet you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.